Hello, Algebra! Today we return to the world of algebra and not like pre-calc. We're going to go back to quadratic equations, which if you remember are the type of equations that make parabolas. We're only going to focus on solving them by graphing today. So here, if we review, this is what a quadratic equation is. Any equation that can be written in the form ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0, where a does not equal 0, because if a equaled 0, we would be multiplying x squared by 0, which would become 0, and this would no longer then be a parabola. A, b, and c are just constant numbers. We remember that if we were to graph this equation would turn out to be a parabola of some sort. So it's going to look like this, or it could look like this. It could be transformed, stretched, shrunk in any way. Let's also remember what we mean by root. The roots of a quadratic equation are the points where the graph crosses and touches the x-axis. So in this case, the roots of this particular parabola are here, and on this one, the roots of this parabola are here. You can solve a quadratic equation really quickly just by graphing it and finding the x values where it crosses. There are 3 different situations which we're going to talk about. So situation 1, we're going to have 2 solutions. If we have a parabola that crosses the x-axis in 2 places, then you'll have x equals, for example, -1 and x equals 5. So that would be an example of 2 solutions. I'm sure you can guess. You may have a parabola that only has 1 solution. That means that it only crosses the x-axis once, at the point of the axis of symmetry. So in this case, the parabola touches the x-axis only once and has 1 solution. The last type of quadratic equation will have no real solution because the parabola does not touch the x-axis in any way. So it might look something like this. And you see that it never touches the x-axis, therefore it doesn't have any solutions. Really quickly, let's remember how to graph a quadratic equation. In this case, if we have -2x squared plus 4x plus 6 equals 0, what we're going to want to do is actually remove the 0 and just for now replace it with f of x or y. Then you're going to make your chart where you get to pick the values. So we have our x, which is our input, and our f of x, which is our output. And we're just going to pick a few values that make sense to us. I'm going to pick the value 0 because that's really easy to plug in. When x is 0, and so I can write it like this, f of 0 equals -2 times 0 squared plus 4 times 0 plus 6. That means f of 0 is 6. Let's do another value. I'm going to pick, why not f of 1? So when x is 1, when x is 1, y is 8. And I'm going to continue to do that until I've built a nice picture of what my graph looks like. So go ahead and take a look at the graph that I show you here. When we look at this nice graph that Desmos has made us, we see that the graph crosses the x-axis at -1 and 3. So our solution to the graph is simply -1 and 3. Remember, if you happen to graph the function and it doesn't end up crossing the x-axis at all, you simply write no solution.